Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another book review. Now today's book review is going to be over Halfwit Halfling, A Bard's Tale. I don't know if A Bard's Tale is the name of the series or the subtitle of this for this specific book. I think it might be the series name. I'll double check and I'll put it down in the comments afterwards. But Halfwit Halfling seems to be the name of the book, and A Bard's Tale seems to be the name of the series based on what's on the spine. It was written by J. Paul, who is British, and if you're American, you'll notice that very easily because there's a lot of stuff that he says that is not really common to us here in the US. I thought he was Canadian, but I was talking to LC Gatsu, and he said it was British. Although the character has a weird obsession with Putin? I don't know what it's called. It's like that weird thing that Canadians like. So I thought he was Canadian, but it doesn't really matter. J. Paul is the author of this book. This is published by Moonquill, who I've worked with before. As you guys can see, there's their logo. The genres here are lit RPG, fantasy, and you can even say comedy for this book. And yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoyed myself reading this. I'll give you more information about that later, but first, let's start talking about the size of the book. So, apparently, this author is friends with Michael, and maybe Huddy, I don't know, not really sure, but these are the same size as you guys can see right there. This is not a standard Moonquill size. Apparently, Moonquill chooses whatever book size the author wants, and then from there they make it happen. So that's how it looks like compared to another Moonquill book. Let me show you how it looks like compared to a Yen Press book. As you guys can see, it has about, I don't know, half an inch taller. And that's basically it. I mean, it's obviously going to be a lot bigger than all the other types of books that I can show you, so there we go. It's a bit of an odd size, I'm not going to lie, but it wasn't really too bad. Construction-wise, it's a lot nicer than Lord of Goblins. I think they upgraded. The paper here is a nice stark white, as opposed to Lord of Goblins that has a kind of cream color. Again, I don't know if that's author's choice or if that was because they were developing still developing their printing standards, I guess. I'm not really sure. The book is nice and thin. It's not bad. It has clearly delineated lines here so that you can open it to that and it stays relatively easy to open. The only thing I can complain about here is really that there's a huge amount of dead space up here. It's not really necessary. You could have used it by making the font a little bit bigger, or by doing a little bit of cool like scroll work or something on, across the top. But overall, pretty good. I can't really complain about the printing of the book. But yeah, that's it for that. Let's jump into the premise here. And it's basically that this young man, I don't really know his age, but he's not really an adult. He's like late teens, early 20s, from what I can gather. And he accidentally gets sent to a game world, aptly called Game World, by this divine entity who hides as a cat. As you guys can see right there, he petted the wrong ginger cat. And then he kind of deals with that. Apparently, he's not being granted any fighting abilities because he wasn't supposed to be there. So the cosmic entity that owns the cat, or that is connected to the cat that he petted, decides to give him non-combat abilities and then sends him on his way, basically to keep him out of the way of other champions, I guess they're called. And so he now has to find the way to survive and thrive in this new world without any combat abilities. And basically, it's really tough. But yeah, it's a really interesting premise. I really enjoyed it. Reading this was great. It was a nice palate cleanser from other types of books. It was really easy to read. It was really breezy. It felt like there was stuff to it, but it was really easygoing, and I really enjoyed myself because of that. So let's jump into the plot, and I'll put this down now because it's kind of annoying to hold. So the plot line here, it's good. Like I said, it's really easygoing and it's really enjoyable. There's a lot of underlying tension in the sense of like our main character doesn't know where he is, how he's supposed to deal with this stuff, and he has to learn about this new world in a way that doesn't make him look like he's not from this world, because although people are aware that, you know, champions arrive, it's kind of a faux pas to kind of talk about it, I guess. It puts you at a disadvantage with people if they know that you're a champion. So he has to do his best to try to not give it away. So it's a really interesting kind of sneaky type of plot line, and it does well in that sort of isekai stuff, and it works really nicely. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of interpersonal tension, a lot of dealing with this new world. All of that is maybe not as interesting as combat-based action or combat-based plot, but it's definitely enjoyable, and I thought that was really good. So yeah, he basically has to figure out what the hell's going on in this new world and why he's here and all of that stuff. And you can kind of break down the plot into a few different segments. So first you have the transfer to the new world, the moment he gets isekai'd, which is, I don't know, maybe 30 pages of the book. Then, you know, character selection, he has to figure out what he's going to be, how he's going to be. And because he doesn't have combat abilities, he can't really do anything. He can't be a human, he can't be an elf, he can't be, you know, all of these combat-based stuff, and he can't be an animal. So he has a very limited range of things to pick from. Obviously, if it's a halfling, he picks a type of hobbit. In this world, they're called Jovians, which is cool. Although, sadly, I think that was maybe not a great choice of word, because Jovian makes it sound like they're kind of from Jupiter. Like, it doesn't work. It's supposed to be from jovial, I assume. He said jovial. Okay, hobbits are always happy, so they're going to be called Jovians. However, from what I understand, something that's Jovian is from Jupiter, so it's kind of odd. Like the Jovian moons, all the moons around Jupiter. So I didn't like it that much, that specific word choice, but it doesn't really matter, and as long as you stay within the confines of the world building of the book, it's fine. It's just kind of weird. And then after the character selection, assimilation, learning about this new world, which takes up the majority of the book, and then planning to leave because he shows up in a weird situation, and then leaving, and then setting up for the next book. And overall, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed myself with it. It did take me a long time to read, I'm not gonna lie. And the reason why it took me so long to read was because I was using it as a kind of palate cleanser, like I said. I was not focusing on this story. I was using this story to kind of take time or take breaks from other books. And so it took me a long time to get through it. However, it wasn't really difficult to read, and it wasn't boring by any means. It just, my focus when reading the story wasn't to finish it. It was to take it easy for a little bit. So that's why it took so long to read it. But hopefully you guys don't mind. It's here now, and that's all that matters. Now, the characters here are pretty good. The MC is called Perry. He's the Jovian, and he's really great. He's really funny. He's really interesting, and it's really fun how he is. I can't really complain about him, and I don't find that he has anything particularly redeeming except a very sarcastic personality. He's just a good kind of character that you can insert yourself into that still has enough backstory to be interesting. And then we have a bunch of secondary characters, like we have Sloan, this kind of human necromancer guy, Hook, which is a type of goblin outcast. Well, they're not really goblins, they're called cappers, but I think that's a English European type of goblin. And then we have Gore, who's another goblin, who is kind of the good guy, and then stuff happens. Yeah, and then we have Boots and Maka, who are kind of these cosmic divine entities. Boots is the cat, and Maka is this like a Nancy spider god kind of character. But yeah, really good stuff. Really enjoy them. There was no really problem here. Oh, we also have Lily the elf, which is a weird spelling of elf. And yeah, really interesting stuff. Really enjoyed the characters. Nothing to complain about here. All of it was really nice. The world building here is good. It's clear and enjoyable, and it really takes the isekai kind of style in stride and uses it really effectively to show you this new world without it feeling like you're getting info dumped. And you can't tell that it's an info dump because you're just reading stats and information and stuff. But the way it's done isn't boring, which is something that a lot of different books kind of struggle with. When you have to give a bunch of information, how do you do it without it sounding boring? You know, there's a few different good examples here, like isekai. Although usually isekai is used in Japan as a way to skip a lot of world building, when you use it for good world building, it works really nicely because you have a character that's new to the world that he's learning about, so you're learning with him, and the info dumping doesn't feel so bad. But yeah, overall, the info dumping was not boring, which is really good. Yeah, so it doesn't rely on traditional video game knowledge because there's very clear instances where, you know, our main character says, you know, this is not like video games at home. And it's really good because it means that the author didn't want to use that isekai crutch, which is wonderful. I really commend him for that. And yeah, it's really nicely done. It's interesting. There's cool monsters. There's new races that are not usual, although they're all kind of based on, you know, traditional D&D Tolkien races. They're different enough and they're funky enough that it stands out, which is really good. And yeah, there's no art beyond the cover, which kind of sucks. A character sheet would have been nice. I really enjoy character sheets in, you know, light novels. So I think that they would be really good to use in lit RPG type of books. But overall, the art is nice. I quite enjoy it. It has this kind of wax slash oil paint look to it, which is nice. Fan service, there is not any direct fan service. There's a couple fade to black scenes, which is, you know, cool. I mean, it doesn't really affect it either way. If it had it, it wouldn't be a problem. And if it didn't have it, it's fine. In this case, it doesn't have it, and it really doesn't hurt the book at all. However, the book is kind of raunchy. There's a lot of talk about sex and a lot of, you know, innuendo and sex jokes. So if you're not interested in that, this might not be for you. You might want to stay away from it. But it's not bad. It's not crazy. It's just a little raunchier than what you would normally read. So it's all good. Rating wise, I would rate this a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really solid entry, and I'm excited to read book 2, but it didn't have anything that really blew my socks off, and that's kind of fine. I mean, it's not a problem. Not everything has to be something crazy innovative. As long as it's fun, it's all good. And yeah, I definitely recommend this. I think this is a really good one. And I think supporting Moonquill would be a really good, you know, thing to do. So definitely check out this book. And similar titles here. I guess Konosuba is the most similar that I can think of. It's not because Konosuba and this are similar. It's because Konosuba is the only, like, funny isekai that I can think of. I mean, I'm sure there are more. I just am not... I haven't read any of them. Or I'm not exposed enough to them to really say it's similar to this. And I guess the other kind of thing that I would say is similar is maybe Chimera King. Again, that's because that's the only proper gamelet that I've read. I mean, I read Hive Knight, but Hive Knight had a bit more differences to it. So, that's basically it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time.